Hey everybody, welcome back to the Body Mass YouTube channel. I'm Virginia, the owner of Body Mass, and for those of you guys who have been following along on this little journey of mine for the last 2 years, something very exciting to announce. But I started off doing this YouTube series about 2 years ago when I was transitioning from figure to bikini, and I just wanted to kind of document the process. Those of you guys who've been following along that whole time or who know me, know that about 3 months ago, I gave birth to my first baby girl. So about a year into doing this series, all of a sudden it kind of took a left turn and kind of switched to pregnancy workouts and postpartum. But I am here to announce, see, the surprise doesn't have to wait that long, that I have decided when I am planning to compete next. So a lot has gone into this, and I kind of want to talk about why I chose the competition date that I'm choosing and some of the challenges that I'll face. So right now I'm about 15 and a half weeks out from the show that I'm planning on doing. So kind of a normal prep duration, but definitely is going to be a little bit different than preps in the past. I'm about 13 weeks postpartum. So right now I'm kind of that in-between spot of being postpartum, of having the baby, and the show date. So I'm kind of right in the middle ground, and I'm really excited to get focused on stepping on stage. Much different goals this time. My goal with competing early summer 2022 is to get on stage. That's really is my goal, to have a little bit of focus and a little bit of that competitive drive that, you know, for me is really important. So I'll be stepping on stage kind of mid-June. I think it's June 11th is the show I'm planning to do. But definitely have some challenges. So I kind of want to go through some of those challenges and yeah, just kind of talk through it a little bit. So the first big challenge that I'm facing is I've been competing for 10 years. I just celebrated the 10th anniversary of my first ever prep starting. And I believe other than the first ever show or year that I competed, so I did 3 shows that first year I competed, other than that time, which was in 2012, I have always taken fat burners. When I've competed, I've taken varying intensities of fat burners, depending on when I was competing in figure versus bikini, but I've always taken fat burners to help aid in the fat loss process. Because I'm breastfeeding and I plan to breastfeed throughout the prep and into show day, I'm obviously not going to be taking fat burners. Fat burners have a lot of ingredients in it that I should not and will not be taking when I'm breastfeeding. So I plan to truly do this as a all natural prep. You know, in general, natural in the world of bodybuilding is based on not taking any banned substances or restricted substances. So over-the-counter fat burners, totally fine in a natural competition, but I will not even be taking that. So, you know, not even taking branched chain amino acids like I normally do, or not even taking any kind of pre-workouts, and really limiting my caffeine. So it'll be an interesting process. That means that I'm going to probably have to do a lot more cardio than I'm used to. And those of you guys who know me know cardio is my least favorite. So, but it is what it is. So that's one of the biggest challenges, is that I'm doing it without taking any fat burners. The second big challenge that I face is really my ability to commit to time for the workouts. So prior to having a baby, I could, you know, I have a flexible work schedule. So I had the ability to, you know, be at the gym for however long I need to get prepared. I could spend as much time as I need to on posing, as much time as I need to on meal prep, because, you know, it's just me and my husband, but he's self-sufficient. So, so I kind of could live my own life. Now it's been a significantly bigger challenge finding times to work out. So right now, the way we kind of do it is, Chris and I work out at Vita Fitness. So there's one in Ballston, and there's one in Navy Yard that we typically go to, and they both have a Phil's Coffee nearby. So what we'll do is he'll go to the gym and work out, and then I'll stay with the baby at Phil's and, you know, do some work or catch up with a friend and go for a walk or something like that. And then we flip-flop, which is great. But one of the biggest challenges with that is kind of figuring out her feeding time and her nap schedule. And those of you guys who have babies know that, like, life is ruled by a small person's schedule now. And so even though I'm very fortunate in that Chris and I are able to figure out how we can make working out be part of our daily routine, the windows are much more limited. And when I'm at the gym working out, I always feel like I'm rushed. And especially, like I said, now I have more cardio to do. So I feel like I'm always rushed in my workouts because, you know, I feel like I need to be on the schedule, or I feel like I need to be feeding her right now. Or, you know, what if there's a problem with her bottle? Or what if I didn't bring a bottle? Or what if, you know, I need to physically be there to breastfeed her? So there's just a lot of kind of stress and anxiety that surrounds my workouts. A lot of it is self-inflicted. I'll be the first one to admit that. But it's definitely more of a challenge because not only do I feel like I'm not getting in the quantity of sets and reps that I want to be getting in, but the quality also feels like it's suffering. So it's kind of the second big challenge, is figuring out how I can optimize my time at the gym. And the third biggest challenge is hormones. I mean, hormones when you're breastfeeding are crazy, and they've been crazy postpartum. I didn't notice too much of a change. Obviously, my hormones were changing when I was pregnant, but I didn't feel like I noticed a change. Now I feel like I notice a lot more of a change. But hormones play a very big role in your body's ability to, you know, lose fat. And a lot of competing on stage is your body's ability to lose fat. So it'll be interesting. And, you know, that's why my goal is to just get on stage. I'm not trying to win. I'm not trying to be the leanest I've ever been. I just want to have it as something to strive towards and to work for. And to me, that's what's important. If I go on stage and I get dead last place, obviously it'll be a bummer, but that's not the point that I'm competing for. The reason I'm competing is because I want to, and I enjoy the process of competing. And I know what comes first is, you know, my health and my health for my baby. So if that means that I have to sacrifice some body fat to be healthier for my baby and feed her, then so be it. And I'm totally okay with that. But it is a challenge when it comes to competing. So that's kind of the third big challenge that I'll face stepping on stage. All right, so I have done, since having the baby in November, I've done 2 DEXA scans. So I did one when I was 6 days postpartum because I had to go to the gym because I forgot something. And I figured, why the heck not? I was just very curious to see what my body composition was 6 days postpartum. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, I'll post that video up here and you guys can kind of see what my results were from that. But then I also did one about 6 weeks postpartum. So right when I was at the cusp of being able to work out again. So had a baby. I worked out up until I had the baby. Had a baby. A week after, did a DEXA scan. But then I didn't work out for 5 weeks, and I was just at home caring for a newborn. And so then I did another DEXA scan then when I was 6 weeks postpartum. Now I've been working out for about almost 7 weeks. And now that I've kind of committed to when I'm going to be competing, I decided to do a DEXA scan. So let's cut over to that. All right, so I'm back here at Body Mass, and tomorrow I'll be 13 weeks postpartum, and I'm about 15 and a half weeks out from my show, so kind of dead center between when I had a baby and when I plan on competing. So I am doing a DEXA. It's been about 2 months since my last DEXA scan. I did one when I was 1 week postpartum, and then I did one where I was like 6 weeks postpartum. So I'll be curious to see now. It's been about twice as long since from giving birth to my first, that second DEXA scan, and then from that point to now. So now I'm able to work out. The last one that I had done, I wasn't cleared to work out yet, so I hadn't been working out for 6 weeks. So now I've been focusing on building some strength back and starting to get a little bit more into that fat loss phase. So we will see how the DEXA goes. All right, so I have my DEXA results here. And again, those of you guys who know me and who've been following along, I like to share information that's relative to my body. By no means is this where you should be, 13 weeks postpartum. By no means should you feel like you need to step on stage a few months after having a baby. This is me, my body, my goals, and I'm doing this as, the DEXA stuff is kind of as an experiment to myself, but the competition stuff is more fun for me. So, numbers. All right, so I'm just gonna talk in reference to my last 3 DEXA scans. So 1 week postpartum, 6 weeks postpartum, today. So body fat percentage, when I was 1 week postpartum, was at 17.6%. 6 weeks postpartum, I was at 18.2, and then today I was at 17.4. So my body fat percentage has been within less than 1% since having a baby. So it's not like suddenly I've been working out for these past 6 weeks and my body fat percentage dropped drastically. In those previous videos, you guys know my lean mass went way up after having a baby, but lean mass isn't just muscle, it also includes fluids. And after you have been pregnant and after you have had an epidural and been in the hospital and pumped filled with fluids, you got lots of fluids in your body. So, so that was a slightly skewed number immediately postpartum. So I'm about 1% lower than where I was 6 weeks ago. For reference, the last time I stepped on stage, I was at about 11.5, 12%. So I'm about 5% higher right now. Again, I don't care. This is just numbers for reference for me. Body weight, don't even want to get into that. I don't really care about that. But pounds of fat mass and pounds of lean mass. So again, in the previous videos, I've kind of explained the differences in figure and bikini and why I'm choosing to do bikini, but a little less lean mass is necessary, a little more fat mass is acceptable. So that's why I'm doing bikini. So in the last 3 DEXA scans, so for my last competition, I was at about 114 pounds of lean mass. Right after having the baby, I was at 122 pounds of lean mass. So I went up about 10 pounds. Like I said, lots of fluids. It includes organs as well. So my uterus was not its normal size. So that goes into some of that weight. And then 6 weeks postpartum, my lean mass dropped down to 115.1, which is about normal. And today I was at 115.0. So really I've had no significant change in lean mass in the last 6 weeks. But I do feel a difference in kind of how my body is distributed in terms of showing more shape. So bodybuilding is a sport based off of aesthetics and how you look, but the numbers can help drive those aesthetics. So I feel like my aesthetics are improving, but my lean mass hasn't made a huge change. Fat mass, so again, for reference, when I was competing the last time in 2020, I was at about 15 pounds of fat mass when I stepped on stage. Immediately postpartum, I was at 26.1. 6 weeks postpartum, I was at 25.6. So I went down about 0.5 pound of fat in those 6 weeks. And then today I was at 24.2. So I'm down about 1.5 pounds of fat mass in the last 6 weeks. So in 6 weeks, down about 1.5 pounds of fat mass and really no change in lean mass. But I've only really started tracking my nutrition recently, and my workouts, as I was saying, they've not been anything earth-shattering, and I'm not taking any supplements. So it's a little bit of a different approach. Android, which is my belly section, was at 11.5%, now is at 12.7%. Again, for reference, when I competed last time, it was at 5.5%, so a little different. So we'll see how that goes. Gynoid, hips and butt, was at 22.8, went up to 24.2 when I was 6 weeks postpartum, and today is at 21%, 21.5%. And again, for reference, last time I was on stage, my hips and my butt were at about 12.5%. So up a little bit higher. Again, I'm not necessarily using these numbers to determine anything. I'm just using them more as science experiments to kind of see how my body is changing. One thing I will say that is fascinating. So the DEXA also gives you your bone mineral content. That changes very subtly. So I've been doing DEXAs now for like close to 8 years. My bone mineral content's always been either 6.0 or 6.1 pounds, always, for as long as I can remember. And at my 1 week postpartum, I was at 6.0 pounds of bone mineral content. 6 weeks postpartum, I was at 5.7 pounds. And today I'm at 5.6 pounds. So I'm down about a half a pound of bone. So that's just very fascinating to see how the hormones come into play. Fortunately, I have pretty good bone density, but osteoporosis does run in my family. So for me, that's just something that I want to kind of keep an eye out, but it's fascinating to see how changes in hormones affect your bone mineral content. So right now, my goals are to just be consistent with my workouts. Like I said, I have 15.5 weeks to make progress and make change, but I've, in 13 weeks, I guess technically 12 weeks, but from that first scan postpartum till today, my lean mass went down, but like I said, a lot of fluids. My fat mass only changed by about 2 pounds. So I am not expecting any kind of world records when I step on stage in June, but more just doing it because it's something that I love doing. I love stepping on stage and competing, and I want to stay as healthy as I can throughout the process for myself and for my baby. So if you guys are interested in kind of following along, I want to do some more videos kind of showing what my workout routines are like, what I'm really focusing on, kind of what my daily nutrition looks like, and what check-ins with my coach are going like. So yeah, so be sure to follow along. If you guys like this, give this video a thumbs up. I'd love to keep putting out some of this postpartum competition content for you. It's really fun. I enjoy sharing my process with you. I'll be sharing some on Instagram. So if you guys don't already, you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Virginia V. Kinkle. And I'm going to be sharing a lot more kind of videos from the past throughout my pregnancy and explaining just kind of thought processes behind doing things. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully you will stay tuned to see me in 15.5 weeks in a sparkly bikini and a spray tan on stage. Take care. Bye-bye.